Hi you guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Patience. To my existing subscribers, welcome back. If this is your first time here, be sure to click that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can continue to indulge in the Hot Bella experience. In today's video, I am going to be creating this beautiful bronzy gold look using the Pat McGrath Labs Mothership Sublime Bronze Ambition eyeshadow palette. So this is not a new palette. This palette has been out for quite some time, but this is my first time using it. So as you guys have heard me say before in my previous videos, I am desperately trying to work my way through all of the palettes that I have in my collection. I need to touch them, I need to use them, because honestly, I want to make room for some more that I have on my list. So this palette is a gorgeous palette. It is one of the 6-pan palettes from Pat McGrath Labs. This is what the shades in this palette look like. They are gorgeous, warm tone, bronzy gold shades. This is one of the palettes that I think would allow you to create some of the work appropriate type of looks. So it's a gorgeous palette. It does have matte shades and shimmer shades in this palette. So it's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. And I'm also using some of my other products that I have in my collection. I'm using the Huda Beauty Overachiever concealers. So I've got one here that's in caramel corn and the other that's in hazelnut. So I'll be using these two products in this video today. And I'm also going to be airbrushing my complexion. As you guys know, I've been on this airbrush kick for quite some time. I'm absolutely loving it. So I'll be airbrushing my complexion today. But today, instead of using my airbrush products for my contouring and bronzer and blush, I'm using a traditional powder type of blush and highlighter. So this turned out really beautifully. I love the way this look turned out. It is absolutely gorgeous. The eyes are flirty and yet very soft. They're not too overly dramatic. I think it turned out beautifully. So if you guys would like to see how I created this look, then keep watching. The first shade that I'm going to use as my brow bone highlight is this shade right here. And this shade is called Gold Rush. The next shade I'm going to use is this shade right here, and this shade is called Bronze Struck, and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. And the next shade that I'm going to use is this shade right here. And this shade is called Copperized. And I'm going to use this on my outer V and sweep it into the crease just a little bit. Make sure they're nice and even. I've carved out my lids a little bit, and now I'm going to go back into this shade once again. This shade is called Copperized, and I'm going to use this shade just to soften up these edges just a little bit. And now I'm going to use my Morphe M705 brush. Someone asked me about this brush in one of the comments from one of my other videos, and I love this brush because it has an angle on it. And I'm going to use this shade right here, which is called Guilt Trip. And I'm going to use this brush to apply this to the inner corner. I really like this brush because it has the pointed tip on it, so it's like a triangle shaped brush. So it works well for packing the eyeshadows onto my lid, but also it gives me that tip to be able to do the detail work in the eye look as well. And now I'm going to use this shade right here, and this shade is called Illicit, and I'm going to use this just to blend these two colors together on my lid. I'm going to go back into this shade right here just one more time. I feel like I lost a little bit of the copperized shade here on my lid. This is the outer color that I used here on my outer V. So I'm going to add just a little bit more of that back into this look. Just a little bit. Probably should have left it alone. I feel like now the copperized is taking over, but we'll make it work. And now I'm going back into this shade right here. This is called Bronze Struck, and this is the shade that I used as my transition shade, and I'm going to add a little bit more definition into the area where I've had to manipulate my natural crease line. So I'm going to tap right into this shade, and I'm going to add a little bit more definition. This looks good. I'm now going to add some liner and lashes. My liner and my lashes are done, and I have added a little bit of my Tatcha Pearl in my under eye area, and I did just a little bit of color correcting here around my mouth as well using my Kevin Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer in SX14. And I am going to do some concealing and contouring using the Huda Beauty Overachiever concealers. I've got one in caramel corn and the other is in hazelnut. So I'm going to add the concealer under my eyes and do some contouring. Well, I hope I didn't use too much of this. This is pretty thick, so a little bit of this will go a long way. Oh yeah, this is really thick. I may have used too much. But is there really a such thing as too much concealer? I guess there is, but as long as it doesn't crease. My concealer is applied, and I'm going to go ahead and set this concealer using my Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. Looks good. And now for my contour, this is in hazelnut. Just add this to the areas where I want to chisel out. Add a little bit more definition in those areas, just a little bit. Ooh, this is a lot too. Oh God. All right. I've been using my airbrush so much lately, I kind of forgot about some of my traditional cream products. But that's okay. We are going to make this work out beautifully. Because girl, you did use too much contour. You used too much of this shade right here. But that's okay. And now that my concealing and my contouring is done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start on my complexion. So I'm going to use my airbrush to put on my foundation, and then I'm going to follow up using some of my traditional powders. Like I've got my Coconutty bronzer from Fenty. I'm going to be using that, but let's get this foundation on. My complexion is done, and this is looking pretty good. I thought the fact that I had used quite a bit of the Huda concealer in the shade Hazelnut was going to not be enough, and that I would have to go back in with some of the bronzing powder that I have from Fenty Beauty. but I think that this worked out perfectly. So I'm not going to be using any additional bronzer for this look today, but I am going to set this, which is a little different than what I would normally do. I normally would not set my airbrushed foundation, but I think I'm going to try setting this today. And I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Setting Powder in the shade Honey. I am going to use some traditional powder type of blush today as well, so it's a good thing that I am going to be setting this with some powder. It's going to help the blush and the highlighter that I'm going to be using as well, which is a traditional powder type of product, just to help it to merge and set a little bit better with this airbrushed foundation that I have on. I'm going to use this Better Not Bitter Coffee and Cocoa palette from Bakerie. I'm going to use this shade right here, which is called La Vida Mocha. So I'm going to use this shade as my blush. Ooh, and why am I having such a heavy hand today with everything? Oh my goodness. Okay, gotta fix this also. Let's grab this sponge and let's help this along. All right, that fixed that up really nicely. And now out of the same Coffee and Cocoa palette from Bakerie, I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is called You're Grounded. And I'm going to use this as my highlighter shade. I'm going to go back into the Sublime Bronze Ambition palette from Pat McGrath Labs, and I'm going to smoke out my waterline and add some highlight into my tear duct area. So I'm going to go back into these shades here, these three shades here at the top. I'm going to use this shade here. This is Copperized. This shade is called Bronze Struck, and this shade is called Guilt Trip. So I'm going to use the Copperized and the Bronze Struck on the waterline and the Guilt Trip in the inner corner. It is now time for lips, and I'm going to be using my MAC lip liner in Chestnut, and I'm also going to use one of the Mademoiselle lipsticks from Fenty Beauty, and this is in the shade Saucy. And this look is done. As part of this look, I wanted to use as many of the shades as I possibly could in this palette. However, this palette is so versatile and it's so soft and warm and user-friendly, I really could have gotten away with creating a beautiful look using only a couple of colors out of this palette. This palette has mattes and shimmer shades, and they are all simply gorgeous. Very warm, very bronzy, very gold. I love it. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on my next video. Bye-bye.